Hello and welcome to another WPSD Proud program. I am your host, Olivia, and today we're pleased to have Representative George Dunbar, who serves the 56th District in Pennsylvania House of Representatives. Representative Dunbar is serving his third term as state representative. Welcome to the program, Representative Dunbar.
Thank you for having me, Olivia.
You're in your third term as a state representative. That's wonderful. Why did you decide to run for the particular office?
Well, I'd like to tell you some cliched response like I was trying to have great public service. I had this great calling for public service, but that truly wasn't the case. To tell you the truth, I was sitting on my couch watching the news, saw my state rep on TV doing something, got mad, picked up something, threw it at the TV set. My daughter, who was about your age, she was a sophomore in high school, looked at me and said, "Daddy, instead of yelling and screaming, you always say, do something." So I did. The next day I got up and I decided I was going to run for office. I ran for local township commissioner. The next day, won that as a write-in, and 6 years later I was asked to run for this office. It's been a fun ride.
That's awesome. I'm sure many of our students are wondering, what does a representative in Pennsylvania House do?
I look at it as a three-legged stool. There's three legs to the stool of what you do. One leg is what you do in Harrisburg. The legislations you pass, you write bills, you try and pass laws, as well as the budget, the state budget, which is the most important thing we do. That's one of the legs of the stool. The other leg of the stool is taking care of your constituents back home. Those individuals that have problems with the state or need state help or want to know about state programs, they come to your office and you can help them, constituent service. And the third leg is another leg which is very important as well, is actually making sure your district, you bring money home to your district and your district gets taken care of as well as any other district does.
How would you describe your job?
I describe it as a three-dimensional chessboard. There's always pieces moving in different directions. In order to get something, you may move some chess pieces around and may lose somewhere else. It's a very difficult strategic type of job that you have to perform to really be successful at it, as well as making sure you keep all your constituents happy and garner their support.
What project are you currently working in your district?
In the district, there are a lot of transportation issues we're trying to accomplish. We've gotten a lot done in the 6 years I've been there, but the key to development in our district is infrastructure development. My district has some problems as far as the tax base. There's not a great diversification of the tax base. There's not enough businesses, and the reason there's not enough businesses is because nobody can get there because of the road conditions and transportation problems. So that's the biggest thing we're working on locally. In Harrisburg, the biggest thing I'm working on is the new Internet Gaming Act and the regular Gaming Act, which is in limbo right now, but it's part of our budget.
What would you say is your proudest moment in your office?
Proudest moment would have been swearing in day, the first time I got sworn in with my wife and all four of my kids with me. That's the one time all four of my daughters have been with me in Harrisburg. That was the proudest moment.
What is the greatest challenge for you in the office?
The biggest challenge I think all of us face is to overcome all the stereotypes that are out there. The first big stereotype we all face is politicians. Everybody thinks politicians are corrupt, dirty, in the game for themselves, and it's hard to convince people otherwise. The other stereotype we always fight is those based upon your political affiliation. People like to think that, oh, because you're Republican or because you're a Democrat, you only believe in certain things, and that's really not the case. Most individuals, most of my constituents, there's very few that are strict Republicans or strict Democrats. Most of the people are in the middle, and that's where I try to govern from, in the middle. So a lot of times you look at Washington, D.C., where you have gridlock, and Harrisburg is very similar. There is a lot of times where there's gridlock, where Republicans are on one side and Democrats on the other. I'm the guy that's always walking across the aisle, trying to make peace with the other side of the aisle. I'm Republican, but I work just as well with the Democrats as I do Republican. That's a stereotype that I've always tried to overcome.
What are some issues facing in Pennsylvania General Assembly this fall?
This year, the biggest thing we're going to be facing is the same thing we faced for the last several years, which is our budget. Our budget is very tight. Pennsylvania has never came out of the recession, it rebounded out of the recession as much as the rest of the country has. So this year, we're going to have another very, very tight budget. Our revenues will not exceed our expenditures. So in order to do that, we have to do one of two things: either increase revenues, which is what I'm working on the gaming bill, or cut expenditures, which are always very, very difficult because someone always is going to lose something in an expenditure cut.
What advice would you give someone who's thinking about particular office?
I think if someone wants to run for office, the best thing they can do at an early age, at your classmates' age, the best thing they can do is be involved. Be involved in their community, be involved in their school, enter into leadership type positions. Find ways to give back at an early age. The reason I got elected is I ran a basketball league. It may not sound like something that makes you electable, but I coached every single girl in my district over a 20-year period. And all those girls were actually able to vote, so were their parents. But being involved in the community and getting a sense of community helps you also understand what your community needs. So if you want to be involved or want to run for office, get involved in your community, and secondarily, get involved in some campaigns. Anybody who's running for office will welcome a young person to come on board and help them out.
What do you do in your free time?
I have a 16-year-old daughter, as well as 3 older daughters as well. Whatever little free time I have, which isn't much, is normally spent with her. She plays volleyball for Penn Trafford High School, and she plays in the band at Penn Trafford High School. So I go to a lot of volleyball matches, a lot of band shows, and teaching her how to drive. She takes her test in a couple of weeks. That keeps her busy. I love to play golf, and sometimes it's nice just to go out to dinner with my wife.
As we close out our program today, is there any advice you want to share with our students?
For all the kids, since I am in politics, it's always nice to know that everybody's paying attention. What is always a very sad thing for me is when you see people interview and they go up to somebody, a younger person, they ask them who the vice president is, and they don't know who the vice president is. They're not being involved. If young kids get involved, pay attention to what's going on, you can make a difference. But you have to be involved to do that. So get involved.
Thank you again for taking time from your busy schedule to spend time with us today.
It was my pleasure, Olivia.
Thank you. If you would like to know more about Representative Dunbar, his work in Harrisburg, and the resources he has for the people living in his district, please visit his website or his Facebook page. If you don't know your representative or senator in the Pennsylvania General Assembly, visit the website you see on the screen. Get informed, get involved, it's your responsibility. Well, we are out of time today. We will see you next time on WPSD Proud. I am Olivia. Bye!